Hello and welcome. My name is Tejal. My pronouns are she and they. I'm coming to you from the unceded lands of the Tongva, Chumash, and Kizh people, colonially known as Los Angeles, California. Today's practice is a meditation for all beings, and I would really like to focus on the return to practice. What is it that meditation provides us, and what potentially from that is why we return. So first and foremost, I invite you into a comfortable seat, whether that's resting on your back, lying down, sitting in a chair, maybe even standing upright. And in that space, notice if you can access any level of comfort. And as you explore that, just notice whether or not your comfort is wavering today, it's fidgety, if you keep running after it, or if it's nowhere to be found, and acknowledging that in a way that you can settle with it. Simply be with it. I'd like to invite us into a meditation that reminds us and refers us to the benefits of meditation, to the practice of meditation and its true intention. So for reference, I will be pulling from the Bhagavad Gita, or the Song of the Divine. This is a book that really talks about the practice in all the ways that we might need to learn about it. If you are an inquisitive person, you might be interested in something but want to have all your questions answered. The Bhagavad Gita is a conversation that answers every question you might have around yoga and meditation. From the Bhagavad Gita, the stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi, when one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, they think there is no greater gain. So I'd like to expand on this. This is coming from four different verses of the Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 6, verse 20, all the way to verse 23. The stage of perfection we call trance or samadhi is also known as the bliss state. And it is a stage in which you can exist in the material world. You can also exist as you transition from the material world into pure sense, pure being, out of this body and expire. And in any state of being that you're in, current, future, the beyond, the stage of trance is a stage of perfection. It's a state in which your mind has completely stopped considering material mental activities. A material mental activity is anything that keeps you bound to the journey in this body. Anything that keeps your mind bound to attachments, pleasure, revulsion, and anything in between. It is a material activity in which your spirit cannot be liberated. Your spirit feels unable to access freedom. And the goal then of yoga is to move away from deep consideration about material things into deep consideration about immaterial things, such as connection, consciousness, spirituality. With practice of that deep space, something curious is said to arise. With so much practice, we might find we're no longer attached to practice, and that the practice itself merges with your whole being, your eternal, timeless self. The way this is achieved then is by practice of yoga. There are various practices of yoga. There are practices of yoga that invite you to be in devotion to others, be in service. There are practices of yoga that invite you to sit in contemplation and gain knowledge from texts and testimony of others. There are practices of yoga that invite you to act constantly and to learn how to act in a way that you are not attached to the outcome. And then, of course, there are practices of yoga that invite us into deeper contemplation and study, and also invite us into release of attachment, like meditation. Whichever practice of yoga you utilize, we must be working towards this transcendental state or samadhi that is free from attachments, that invites a mindset that helps us to be free from attachment. So much so that we might achieve the joyous state, the samadhi state, where one is boundless, unbound in transcendental happiness, and no longer enjoys material senses and material pleasure, but the transcendental senses and transcendental pleasure that comes through the transcendental state. Once that is accessed or momentarily accessed, or even understood to be possible and achievable, whether or not it has been accessed by you, the reminder is that you will never lose that knowledge. You will never lose that affirmation of a different state of being. You will always know the truth of these practices. And additionally, you will always believe that there is nothing greater than moving towards this transcendental state and out of the material state. Take a moment to consider how your practice might evolve or has evolved towards a type of practice that encourages less attachment and deeper presence. So much presence that you may have accessed a moment in which your presence no longer binds you, in which you have moved beyond the importance of presence. Those moments of clarity, those moments unbound, liberated, are the moments in which we can see the truth that all beings are interconnected, that all happiness is interconnected, that all suffering is interconnected. In a practice that invites us towards these affirmations, the Gita reminds us that on this spiritual path, no gain is ever wasted, and no effort you have made is ever reversed. Only just a little of this work, even if only at one time, can undo great suffering and harm. Continue to explore, what is meditation to you? And what is it that brings you back again and again to your meditation practice? You might have many, many reasons. You might have so many reasons it's hard to pick one to share, or be fearful of the right or wrong answer, and then missing out on all the other benefits. Without getting caught in that cycle of worry or concern or perfectionism, take a moment then to notice what a practice of meditation helps you to feel, helps you to release, helps you to gather. Notice if your mind has ever felt completely unattached to your material senses. Notice the moments in which you felt more than your body. You felt beyond yourself. I don't mean in the way that you were connected to more beings than yourself, but you felt outside of yourself, as if yourself was not a factor in your feeling. Now, this is a very interesting practice because you may currently be experiencing pain. You may currently be experiencing something that you cannot override or overcome, and that you may not wish to. You might currently be experiencing something that feels chronic and repeated. You might currently be feeling something that feels deeply rooted, unable to extract. If this is the case, and for anyone, whether or not this is the case, the reminder that continue to practice, continue to believe that with a dedicated practice, those moments of clarity and unattachment will arise. And be sure to notice what devotion you have towards a practice that moves you towards less and less attachment of the here and now, and more towards a transcendental state of interconnectedness, happiness, and bliss. A meditation practice can help guide you through that journey. Your meditation right now can help affirm the feelings that arise in a practice such as this. Noticing how you might feel a practice such as this is so different than the rest of my life. What purpose does it serve? And the purpose of this practice is completely under your control. So as we come into the final moments of our practice, notice your breath, what you can control. Notice what feelings you wish to take with you. Be very clear to yourself about the invitation to take these feelings with you. And continue to breathe. Continue to focus on this moment, this practice, on its ability to bring you into a joyous state. And take a deep breath in. A clearing breath out. Noticing what is present, noticing what is achievable, noticing what is possible. Let's begin to close our practice. You might bring hands on the body or palms together in front of the heart in Anjali Mudra as an offering of gratitude to yoga, to your teachers, to the traditions and practices that we continue to study today. Gratitude for yourself, for showing up just as you are with life going on just as it is. Sending gratitude to the land that carries us. Acknowledging the wisdom of our ancestors and the indigenous stewards of this land. Inviting in a moment of silence for all those who experience oppression on this land. May we work to repair harm and end suffering for all beings. Let's close with a message of peace. Om Shanti 3 times. You might listen or join. Inhale to begin. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you so much for your practice. And thank you for allowing me to share mine with you.